Hi everyone, good afternoon. I am Colette Lawrence. Welcome to Positioned for Purpose, Season 5, Episode 1, our very first broadcast for 2024. I'm so excited about today and our special guest who will be joining us soon. Happy International Women's Day to all my sisters out there. You are rocking it. You are doing a fantastic job. You are showing up. You are doing what need to get done to take you, your family, your friends, others to where they need to be. So awesome. So congrats and yeah, make sure that you're celebrating yourself today as well, right? It's all about doing and celebrating others, but also finding time to celebrate yourself as well. Ah, hey, how are you? Hi, my special guest is here, so we're waiting to add her. I can see that add sign going, clicking in and out. Guys, today is an awesome day, and I'm looking forward to having such a great conversation with her. You will be empowered. I can tell you that. Hi, Adora. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for staying with us as our guest is getting ready to come on. And so today, as International Women's Day, and the theme is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, is how we serve each other in the different spaces that we are at. Um, in the different spaces that we are at. Let me try one more time. You may be having a connectivity issues. These things happen. Let's see. Thank you for your patience, guys. Awesome. Hi. Yes, 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 yes. She's on, she's on, she's on, she's on, she's on. Yes, 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 yes.
Hi.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you
Happy
so much.
International Women's
So
Day.
much, so much, so much. So thank you, Wanjiro. It's gonna take a little while to get used to calling you that, but I'll meet you today. Thank you for joining me today on season 5, episode 1 of Positioned for Purpose, a conversation where we really are talking about the importance of living our life out on a purpose. There are spaces
Mhm,
that God has placed each and every one of us for us to serve in those spaces.
mhm.
And so it's important to make sure that what we're called to do, that we're doing it, that we're not shying away from it, we're not running away from responsibilities because of fear, because of doubt, because of our own internal voices. Today I'm going to talk to one woman who I think has such a unique story and who impacts lives. Well, she surely impacts mine, and I know others can speak of that. Just the way how God has gifted her with wisdom to share something with you that you know, but not seen it the way she has, and like you have an aha moment. So, Wanjaro, welcome. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining me. Can you go ahead? I don't have your bio with me. I am so sorry because I've switched devices. It's on my phone, but I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes, thank you so much, Colette. Thank you so much for having me on this platform. And this is a special day on two fronts for me. But before we get there, just to introduce myself to your audience, my name is Wanjiro Wangai Samuels,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a Kenyan. I live in Africa. Hi,
Yes.
my Kenyan people. Um, I am a mother, and many people call me a mother hen,
Mm-hmm.
but I am a daughter of Yahweh. I love the Lord fiercely. It has not always been so.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
But I am also I'm a podcaster. I am I'm a life truth speaker. I don't call myself a motivational speaker. because for me, it's not about motivating. For me, it's about authenticity
Yes.
and being true to myself first. Then I can be true to somebody else who
Yes.
needs my voice or who needs to hear. It has to be raw, it has to be real and authentic.
Mm.
I'm a trainee of trainers in HIV/AIDS management. I'm also a youth facilitator with Youth International, an organization called Youth International on road safety matters.
Mm-hmm.
SG, they call them the SDGs 30.
Okay.
So I wear many hats, but one that I really cherish the most above all is that I am a woman and a
Mm-hmm.
resilient one at that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a name that you use to describe something that you do, and that is so light that I might have to steal that. Life truth speaker.
Yeah.
No, that's not just an empowerment speaker, but a life, not just a motivational speaker, but a life truth speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I know you intimated a little bit about it. Can you tell me a little bit more exactly why you chose to call yourself to use that title?
I prefer to call myself a life truth speaker because there's something about people playing around with the word motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, for example, when somebody is going through a difficult moment or when somebody is at a crossroads with a situation in their life, could have gone through it
Yes.
or no, could have some knowledge about it. I feel it would be, if I was on the receiving end, I would rather somebody tells me as it
Yes.
is. And like, you come and umbrella it with it's gonna be better. I want to deal with everything, the in between, the rough patches, the smooth, the highs, the lows. I want it as it is. So I'm not the kind of person who tells somebody it's gonna be well when they're going through a difficult moment. No,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, it's time to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just sit here and cry. It is okay to be mad.
Yes.
So I prefer to just go it raw and not really filter anything.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why I call myself life's truth, because if I have not gone through it, somebody else has gone through it. How was it? How
Yes.
did they deal?
Yes.
So I don't refer back to a specific manual written by a human being. My manual is just one.
Yes.
It's the Bible,
Yes.
because that's what speaks life to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Guys, you
So
see
I
why
receive life right there
yeah.
and pass it on. Yes.
Yes. Guys, you see
Yeah.
why I tell you that, listen, that's just her opening sentence, right? Such nugget coming from out of that. And I can tell you what she's saying is true. That's exactly who she is. No, Wanjiro, because I want to get it
Yeah.
right. When you hear the word purpose, what comes immediately to your mind?
For me, the immediate word is a driving force, purpose. Like what makes me do things the way I do? What pushes me? What is that wind beneath my wings? What is that thing that makes me wake up in the morning or look forward to another day? So for me, it's the driving force behind everything.
Yes.
It could be my thoughts, it could be my actions, it could be my relations with people. What is that thing that ignites the fire inside of me?
Okay.
That just purpose. That's the immediate thought that comes to mind. It's
Okay.
just that.
So it's a driving force behind everything that you do. It's purpose, right? That means you are intentional about doing the things that needs to get done, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a business meeting, whether it's been a truth life speaker. Now, my follow-up question to you then is, what is that thing that fuels your fire? What is that thing that gives you, that ignites you?
Yes. This might sound off to a lot of people, but the thing that pushes me, there's several. One of it I know is the ultimate of it. I'll mention it a little later.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing that makes me do the things that I do is pain.
Yeah.
Pain. Pain pushed
Woo.
me to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I know many people are not motivated by pain, but I was motivated by
Yes.
pain. And pain that comes from different levels. Pain that comes from grief.
Yes.
Pain that comes from being hurt by people, betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
pain that comes from poverty, pain that comes from lack. So when I think about my yesterday,
Yes.
oh my goodness, what just happened?
All right. So until Wanjiro gets back on, did you hear something that she says? Because our purpose sometimes is birthed out of our pain, what we have gone through, right? What has happened to us. And those are the things that are like the driving force behind the purpose that we have. And I can so relate to what she is saying, because it's sometimes it is in the dark places, the places out of the most painful situations, that the purpose is birthed. And if you know me, you'd hear me talk about Romans 8:28. For we know that all things work together for good to them that love God and are the called according to his purpose, to his will. That simply is telling me that, listen, everything that has happened, right? God has a plan to use it. Everything that has happened to me, everything that has happened to you, God has a plan to use it. But sometimes we don't want to align ourselves to it because we don't want to associate the pain as the motivator. Yes, Natalie. We don't also want the pain to be the motivator that pushes us into purpose. But can I tell you, sometimes if that pain didn't happen, we would still be right where we are. We would not want to move because we like the places of comfort. And because we like the places of comfort, anything that's going to push us out of there, anything that is going to let us move into what God is calling us to do, then it becomes a challenge for us, right? And I'm waiting on Wanjiro to come back. I'm not sure if there are internet issues or what has happened. Maybe something has happened to her phone. But the fact of the matter is that as I look back on my own life and the issues that I have faced and is faced, the issues that I have faced are the motivators that has got me to where I'm at now, right? So it's so important that we don't try to sabotage, don't run away from, right? Push through and process and allow God to work the things out so that at the end of the day, what he has created each and every one of us for, we will be able to accomplish it, knowing that when we go to speak to someone, as Wanjiro called it, being a live truth speaker, I'm not only able to empathize with you and to sympathize with you, I'm also able to tell you that, listen, I have been there. You are going to make it. Cry now if you must, but there comes a time when you'll have to dry those tears and you will have to move on. One of the things about purpose is that we have to be intentional about accomplishing it. There's a passage of scripture, and I don't remember exactly where it is now. And we've said it. You may say it and think it's just a cliche. It says, "It's only what we do for Christ that will last." It doesn't mean that everybody is going to leave their 9 to 5 job, right, and go work in a church ministry or something like that. On your job, how he has called you to serve. You may be the only person that can demonstrate what love means, what the love of Christ is to someone else on the job who needs to know that God house them, that need to hear that there's a plan and that there is a purpose for them, right? And so don't despise where you are at, because purpose, or every one of us has a purpose, have one main purpose, and it's to win souls for Christ. Each of us are going to do it in different ways. Understanding the way that you've been created to do it is what is key and what is critical, right? As Wanjiro is coming on, awesome. I've sent the additional as she's coming on, that thing when she talks about the pain, and pain coming from not just one instance but from different places. We have to allow God to use that pain for his purpose, for his ultimate glory. Because can I tell you, women, and today's Women History, International Women's Day, that situation that you've been in, that situation that you have been in is actually meant not only for you but to help someone else. I'm not sure what's happening. Bring them to the video. Awesome. Oh, awesome. Thank you for coming back.
Welcome to Africa.
Awesome. Well,
this happens a lot.
Yes. That's okay, because it happens here as well, and we just roll with the process. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you yes. All right, so tell us about, you were telling us before or intermission about the pain in purpose.
So for me, you asked about what is that thing, what is that driver? Yes. And I was explaining that for me, finding purpose came from different spaces. For me, finding purpose came from grief. It came from betrayal. It came from hurt, being hurt, and being hurt from different places. I don't know if you guys in America get hurt by church. I've been hurt by church.
Church is all over. All over.
I've been hurt by church, and and the reason why I love the Lord today so fiercely is because at some point in my life, my eyes were not open enough, and I say this and I feel emotional. My eyes were not open enough to see and to know who God is. And so I was going to church and I was looking up to the clergy. I was looking up to my pastors, and I thought they're the it, until I encountered hurt from the pulpit. And I was so angry, and I did not go to church for like 2 years. And I just couldn't. And by the way, for me, when COVID happened, I was the happiest Christian that ever was, because then I would not have to explain to anyone why I'm not going to church. Because before that, I was going to church and I never got inside. I would sit outside in the compound somewhere outside, and I would be on social media. But I had to go because I had to take my children to church. So when COVID happened, I said, hallelujah, zero guilt. But you see, that came from a point of being betrayed. It came from a point of hurt. I expected that this was a group of people that were going to understand the season in my life. And they were going to handle me differently. But no. I got a slap on my face. And it wasn't even nice. It was a back slap. The nasty one that just flies across the room. I know, it wasn't polite. So for me, getting back to understanding who God is and who he truly is in my life, and really being intentional about my relationship with God and finding my purpose in him, came from a point of being let down. But when I look back today, I appreciate the treatment that I got. Because now I know, and I learned that a church is like a hospital. where every person with every manner of ailment walks into. There's nobody
Yes.
perfect in there,
Yes.
including the man of
Yes.
God. So all I
Yes.
have to do is pray for the man of God or the woman of God,
Yes.
because they're fighting their own battles I do not know of, and I expect perfection from them.
Yes.
So yeah, I found my purpose from spaces of pain. I found my purpose again from a place of love heart, being hurt by love.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
somebody treats you like you're so little. I was having a conversation with my daughter, and she went through an incident, I think 2 years ago, in a school. And so she was trying to explain to me the emotion. And she was telling me, Mommy, I felt so little. I felt like a little ant. And I was just crawling on the ground. She was so descriptive. And my friends were just walking around and looking down on me, and they would just step on me. That was such a raw emotion,
Yes.
And at some point I felt that way. When somebody, or it could be somebody that you've given your heart to, it could be
Yes.
somebody you are in a love relationship with, and they treat you like that little ant that's just crawling on the ground, and they can step on you at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And when in retrospect, when I look at all those incidences, I appreciate,
Yeah.
because now I can intentionally love, and I can intentionally tell somebody, this ain't right. I can speak up for myself.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
pick and choose,
Yes.
who I am rolling with and who I am not.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much to pick from that feeling of being, and so that's coming from a child, right? Can
Yes.
you imagine a young child describing the feeling of feeling so small, that the feeling of an ant? An ant is so tiny, and that's how she felt being stepped on. And even that is able to propel someone to purpose, because hear what? Because we feel that way, we want to be intentional about letting no one else feel that way. And so as
Yes.
small as she is, that's a powerful lesson for her to learn. I don't know how many of us would even describe it as being someone, being like an ant and someone looking down on you. That's also shape her thinking, right? About, I don't want to make anyone else feel that way, just as how I don't want to feel this way. So then there's
Yes.
so many lessons that we can learn from that. But can I ask you though, right? So you've gone through the pain pushers, the love hurt, the relationships, the church hurt, and all of that. How did you use those to fuel you to do what you're currently doing?
So now, it's really something that if you have told me a few years ago that I would do, I would tell you I ain't got no time for that. I will tell you that for free, and I'll walk away, and I will not give you an
Yes.
explanation because at that moment, no, hell no, this is not. I cannot be the one in that space.
Yes.
But then, and especially with one specific area, when I suffered grief of my daughter, and strangely, this is happening on 8th of March. It is exactly 6 years ago when she passed away on this day. Yes, ma'am. It is. I can talk about it now and not feel painful as such, but miss her so much and see the impact that she had in her young life that she lived. Because strangely enough, today, one of her very good friends that, I'm sorry, one of her very good friends invited me over for lunch with her mother. And we had lunch today, and all we did was just talk about her. We just talked about her and celebrated. But the way how that happened, of course, nobody prepared for it. Nobody knew how it's, like it just dropped and it was a big bombshell in our lives. But now looking back, I can say that every lesson or every test that I have gone through with regards to specifically this angle of my pain, God was preparing me to be a voice for the many in my country and maybe beyond who have gone through that. Because I can tell you for free, ever since Abby passed away, there have been many students who have gone through the same. And I didn't know, but every time I spoke to any government official, I made sure that it was not an official. As much as it was official, I would go to their offices and sit down and talk. I got their contacts. I made sure we have like a rapport of sorts. Little did I know that I was just piling in ammunition for what I will use later. Because later on, when cases started flooding in, and social media, the power of social media, people will be tagging me. I'm still going through my grief, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, has Mama Abby seen this? And so they will be tagging me in this breaking news here and there. And I have worked with several parents in this country, and I have held their hand literally and walked with them into these offices and helped them. I can count in my hands and beyond the parents that I have worked with who have gone through the same thing I have gone through. Some of them decided to pursue legal means to, get, to address their grievances, and especially with the death of their children. Others decided, no, we're going to leave all this to God. But for those who were daredevils like myself and decided, I'm not letting this go, they are in court already.
Yes.
If I had somebody who held my hand when my child died and told me this is the way, maybe that case would have already been settled on today. But even up until today, I'm in court. But the parents who, for example, lost their children last year, they're already in court today, months after. But mine took 4 years because it was breaking news and people were used to it. And once breaking news dies, everybody goes back to business as usual. But for me, it was business unusual.
Unusual, yes.
It was business unusual. And I thank God for, I cannot take credit for this. I didn't do this on my own. I thank God for the numbers of parents who came out and really supported me. But they only did that when I reached out. They only did that when I reached out. When I was quiet for those 4 years, they were also quiet. But the moment I reached out and my hand was held by people who really put my story out, they all came in a multitude. In fact, when we was doing the demonstration 2 years ago in the streets of Nairobi, I never thought it was going to happen. They're the ones who said, we want to go on the streets and you must be there. And that movement started. And from that time, when an incident like that happens and it hits social media, you will find my name tagged somewhere. Somebody will forward it to me. Please reach out to this parent. How can we help this parent? And in my own small way, I have done that. And if I didn't go through that, I do not know how I would have tried to even do it. I do not know. So I can stand here and say, yes, I lost my child, but she added me a pair of wings. To be able to sow and handle this thing with I handle it afraid because I'm not an expert. I just do. Because there's somebody who was asking me, are you not afraid? I said, but what else do I have to lose? I already lost. So the worst can be that I keep quiet, you
Yes.
know. And I find fulfillment in working with these parents and them telling me, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for holding my hand. Thank you for showing me. There's one parent in particular who lost her son last year. And it was such a painful thing because it was out of medical negligence from the school setup. But this woman was so broken because, again, she was coming from a space of a toxic home, you know. She was coming from a home that is toxic. You know, nobody understands why you're grieving. They're telling you, you know what, suck it up. But how do you suck it up when you've lost your child? You have to be in it
Yeah.
until you get, somehow you find your way. And she tried to commit suicide twice. And I
Yeah.
will get calls from her son in the middle of the night. She's like, please, please come and talk to my mother because I found her hanging behind the tree. Like her son has rescued her twice when she was trying to strangle herself because of the pain, and
Yeah.
nobody understands her. And until I reached out to her, she was like, you're, I do not know what I would have done without you. And I was like, no, thank God that I am here. Don't thank me. Let's thank God together
Yes.
that I am here. And we've walked that journey. And I can tell you today, she's happy. She's fiercely loving on her son. And she's actively pursuing her case in court.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, there is so much in that, and I should have known, but it totally missed me because I can assure you, had I remembered, we would not be on
Mm.
today. I can I can tell you
Thank
that
you.
most definitely, even a minute before I wouldn't have, but I did not
Mm.
remember. But so much in that, right? As I listen to you share your story and talking about pain and just I want to hear being like an advocate for others, and where that how that pain of losing your daughter, what it is, how God is now using that as a part of your story for His glory, and it
Mm.
comes right down. There are a couple of things that I'm hearing, like it just it's keep repeating in my mind because it's about using your voice, right?
Yes.
Because you said something that was so key. So when you remained quiet, there was no one. But once
Mm-mm.
you reached out, that once you verbalized and reached out, then the support came. And even
Yes.
as I think about, because I want to call it that you pioneered something, it took you longer. So while it took you 4 years and you're still in court, and for others there's just took a month, they're a year and they're in court now, the fact is that you've walked this journey so that you're able to help them in their
Mm.
own journey. You're saying to the one that it will take 4 years to get here, hold on, I've been there, I understand. And to the one that is going through, no, you're able there to comfort. So as I was saying when you were off earlier, that sometimes we want to despise the pain, not understanding that the pain is what our pain doesn't have to look the same way. So I want us to
Mm.
clear that, because some person say, oh, but I don't know who could go through that. Each of us pain is different. It's no less hard. But if we allow it, God uses it for His glory. That's why Romans 8:28 it says, "All for we know all the things, every single thing." And I'm glad He didn't specify. He says all. So whatever the all is it means all. And what I love about you is that you are using that. You didn't just shrink back in a corner. You didn't say, well, I'm not going to be bothered with this because God, you did this to me. I'm sure you might have said it along it. But then you say, what, who can, I'm sure in the Spirit of the Lord would have spoken to you and say,
Mm.
listen,
Mm.
time to get up now, Mike. It's time to get up now, Wanjiro. It's time to get up now. You have work to do,
Mm.
right? And just the work that you are doing, and that's just one subsection of the work. And so as we go back to position for purpose, it's not one thing.
Mm. No, it isn't.
No, so tell us, how has purpose shown up in your voice?
For me, I've taken it back to, and especially one angle that revolves around my daughter, Abby, is that I have been in a space where now I can recall back the conversations that we had before this happened. And I call it preventative parenting.
Yes.
Because sometimes people, children, grown-ups, employees, name it, every human being does not communicate verbally, but they can communicate with their emotions. I wasn't in that space. I was too crowded at that time with fixing things that I didn't take a moment to listen. So because of the conversations that we had, the body language that now I can close my eyes and see her walking down that corridor. I can see her lying on that couch. I can see her lying on the bed, and I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she looks at me and she says, "Yeah." I can recall, and I joined the dots and I said, you know what? If there was something I could have done, maybe I wouldn't be dealing with what I have dealt with.
Yes.
Maybe. So I started doing something called preventative parenting, where I speak to parents on sort of deducing the emotions behind the conversations that they have with their children, and especially teenagers.
Yes.
Because teenagers are a very special lot. You have to be very tactical when you're dealing with them. And you have to be very understanding, because the moment you go head to head, you're getting nothing. And unfortunately today, many of them are committing suicide in their own bedrooms, in the backyard of their house. I know of one who committed suicide in the front door, just so that when you guys come and find me here, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because you guys don't want me no more. So because of the conversations that I had with my daughter, because of the conversations that I've had with her friends, because of the conversations that I've had with other women that regard their children in boarding schools and whatnot, I started doing that. So now I talk to parents and, you know, how to communicate with teenagers, how to, that is one thing that I am really keen on, because if I can be able to prevent, then I don't have to deal with the eventuality.
Yes.
So that is one arm that I have taken up again.
So there's different things that's coming out of one thing. One section of loss has opened up so many other opportunities for you, right? I saw that you're an advocate, preventative parenting, and a life, I want to make sure, a life truth speaker, because there are many facets to our purpose. God is a God who is creative. He doesn't just give us one thing. Even if it's one gift, there are different areas to that one thing. And I can see how you're showing up in all of that. And can you imagine, right? When we talk about, because we've not been there, because sometimes because we run away from the pain, we forget that there is someone that needs to know, that needs to hear our story about where we have been, so that we can be a support for them. Maybe, just maybe, it was all for this bigger than her, because at the end of the day, Abby lives on in so many different facets of who you are and what God has called you to do, right? And so, how would you encourage a woman who is struggling in walking out her purpose. She may be going through some pain now and don't understand what's happening. The first thing is that she's coming out of her comfort level, her comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about purpose, and she wants to know what you're talking about. How can you encourage her?
Oh my goodness. That is really interesting, because somebody once asked me a question. How do you encourage somebody who is depressed?
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
They threw that in my
Yes.
face. Like, how do you encourage somebody who is depressed? Because when you're going through pain, I, for one, I tell people, I see my friend is in. Hi, Sony. Colette, you need to know Sony Kinuthia. Sony is an amazing woman. She's in the US. She is amazing.
Oh, yeah, you've spoken
When you
about
get
her.
to
Yes.
know her, oh, you're going to love her. She's an amazing woman of God. She is living purpose from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. I just love her.
Yes.
With all of me.
You have talked
Now, back
about us
to you.
connecting. That awesome.
Yes.
Hi, Sonia. Nice to meet you here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is so, at that, for example, if somebody has gone through loss right about now,
Mm-hmm.
you do not, I don't tell people it is well, because it is not well. And you see, that is people pick that and feel like, it's a very, I don't know if they feel it's a good thing to say,
Mm-hmm.
or it's comforting to say. But I am an advocate to say that when somebody is going through pain, I let them go through the motions.
Yes.
I'm not going to hurry the process. In fact, if you want us to cry together, I'm your crying partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be right there. Let's cry. I will offer the ministry of presence. You need a glass of water. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go lie down in the grass right there. If I have that time, we're going to sit in the grass and bask in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But I never tell anybody it is well. I never tell them they're in a better place. I never tell them God knows best. Because at that time, all those statements do not make any sense. They don't make any sense. So for me, for somebody who is struggling to live in their purpose, I would just I'll just tell them to wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of the matter is that I am not who I was even 3 years ago. It was a far thought. I never imagined. People would tell me, oh, you need to do a foundation, or you need to do a trust, or you need to form this. But it was not in me yet. It was not in me yet. And I want to really give credit to a group of women. We call ourselves girlies who love coffee with Jesus. Yes. It's a group of young women who, we study the Bible step by step together, and we hang out together and do God activities and just do creative things and really talk about how it has been, support one another. That has helped me to see. Now to put the pieces together, gather all of them together. Now I can see the bigger picture. And I say, yes, this is it. Because when somebody speaks it to you, it is not the same way as when it comes from within.
Yes.
You will tell me to do something. I will do it as an assignment. But when it comes from me, I will burn the midnight oil.
Yes.
I will wake up early. I will have no excuses for it. I will go above and beyond. That's the difference. So I will say wait it out. But as you wait it out, when somebody needs your hand, lend that hand. Don't fold it. Because that is when now you start seeing the pieces. That is when you start seeing the reason why. When somebody comes and tells you, thank you for leading me this direction. Now I have known what to do. Because it's not a question of fixing other people.
Yes.
It's a question of walking alongside them
Mm-hmm.
so that they can also be able to get answers.
Yes.
And the other ultimate thing that is most important, seek God.
Yes.
Because He's the one who downloads those things inside of us. We have pits and pits and pits of minerals and talents and every good thing inside of us.
Yes.
But until we search inward, we don't find it.
Yes.
We cannot find it. And the only person who can help us see our inward is God. It's not a human being.
Awesome.
Because by myself, I'll be like, look inward, how? How? But the Holy Spirit now opens up scriptures, tells you in everything, give thanks. There's a season and a time for everything. Ecclesiastes. It brings all those, and it makes sense. It makes sense in a way that now you start going out and giving of yourself to do things that you would have otherwise never done.
Yes.
And the word of God says that He knows the plans. He knows the plans that He has for us. And now you start looking back and saying, truly, when Ephesians says that we are His workmanship, that Christ created us for good works, then you start seeing it.
Yes.
But until you search scripture, until you go inwards and ask God to reveal those things to you, you can never see. But
awesome.
Also actively lend your hand, actively lend your voice. It can be the smallest voice in the room. We had a business summit sometime in our church, and one of the elders is a CEO of one of the, actually he's a CEO of Kenya Airways. And he said, for many years he always felt like David in the house of Jesse, And one time they go for this conference somewhere, I think in New York, and all the bosses in the airline sector, there was a discussion going on. And he kept feeling like, should I say it? Should I not say it? He had a contribution to give. But by virtue of him always feeling like the David in the house of Jesse, he felt like his contribution was not going to make a difference. But something inside him said, say it anyway.
Yes.
And when he did, they were like, in fact, he started off, he was like, I'm not sure, I don't know if I should say this. And when he eventually gave his contribution, everybody was like, we are glad you said it. And that was it, summed up the meeting. So you never really know where you're going to have that aha moment. Because you need somebody else. And until you give, then will you, until you give, if you keep to yourself, chances are you're going nowhere. Chances are you'll just rotate around the same place. But until you lend your hand, lend your voice, walk in, visit, fellowship, have that group discussion, go in and facilitate a meeting. Until you do that, will you realize? Will you realize what you're meant to do?
This is so good, so good. Something that you said, like I have to actually touch on it, and it's like we don't get those aha moments. We don't get the all things work together. They're in everything until we're at that space to understand it. And when we're at that space, then God is able to now pour in, because we're at a space now to seek His face. And He's now able to say, okay, I'll be able to use this, and we're at a place to say yes. I like the fact that Sonny says, lend your hand, don't fold it. I love this. And Adora says, I like that. Same thing. lend a hand, don't fold it. And sometimes whatever the pain is, it doesn't matter what it is, we tend to, if we lose a job, if we have to walk away from a relationship, if we lose a loved one, the tendency is to fold our hands. We can't see anybody else but ourselves. Yes, there's a time for that, but there's also a time when we need, just like how there's a time for everything under the sun, there's a time that we have to get up and we have to move and we have to give a helping hand because someone else needs us. So Wanjiro, in all of our conversation was on purpose. And I tell you, from this is our 4th year of doing it, and every conversation over the years is different. It's the first time we're focused on purpose using our voice. Because that's all I'm hearing, that like it's just ringing, and I have it written down. It is the voice, right? Because you're advocating, you're speaking up for someone, you're speaking up for someone else, you're listening to what God is saying, you're encouraging someone else, you're building someone else, you're unfolding your hands to be a difference to someone else. And God is amplifying your voice. Like your story is so, well, I've said this to you already. Your story is impactful, and it is empowering to me, because it's a reminder that no matter what the pain that I've gone through, no matter what the difficulties are, there is someone else who has risen above it.
Yes.
Who is living it out and who is walking her purpose out. So a couple of things again, and guys, if you're on and you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask a question. We have about 9 minutes left. You can put your questions in. What I like about what you're doing is that, and I hope that everyone else is getting it, those who may be on for the first time and maybe watching this and meeting Wanjiro for the first time, is the fact that you see love and joy despite she is lending her hand. She's not folding it. She is moving. She has a lot of reason, I think, to not want to. But she's embracing the purpose in the pain, because at the end of the day, it's bigger than her. She has to, you have to accomplish what God has placed you here on the earth for. And whatever the loss is, it's all working out for his good. I don't remember the rest of the questions, but I'll tell you that Sonny says the rest of the questions that I should be asking you. But that she says that thing of people asking you to start something after going through something. I'm a victim of pushing people because I believe there is no vain thing good to learn. That might not be what someone wants to hear at that time.
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Try and tell somebody who's just been divorced that you need to start a divorce care class for other women.
Please.
They'd be like, are you crazy?
Yes.
Sit down somewhere and shut up.
Yeah, no. Let me ask you something. So one of the things that you said earlier, right? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry I'm bringing us back to today, but like I have to. You met with a group of young ladies who were Eddie's age, right? Her friends, and you guys met together. That's healing, and that's the lending of the hand. Because you could have said, you guys remind me too much of my loss, of my pain. I can't, especially today would not be a day that I would be meeting with you. How did you feel impacting being around those young ladies today and seeing them?
Actually, it was a lady and her mother. So it was a mom and daughter. And the beauty about this family is that they have been with me since. They have kept their word.
Oh, wow.
They have kept their word. They told me on 15th, on 15th of March 2019, they told me we are always going to be with you. And every year, they remembered her birthday and they remembered the 8th of March. And they would send a basket of flowers. They would send a bouquet of flowers, a basket of fruits. They would send cake. This year, we sat down and had lunch. But what impressed me is that when they were sending these gifts before, this young, beautiful girl, I call her Butterfly because she's that. And she and Evie love butterflies. And she was going through a very difficult moment as well. She was going through hurt. She was in pain of losing her friend and in the way that it did happen. And we've got to a place where we can now meet. And the beauty of it is that through also her pain, my grief and her grief, she's an amazing artist. She has a gallery. She has a gallery from, and each and every one of those art pieces have a story behind it, has inspiration that is my daughter. So you can imagine, it's healing for her and it's healing for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it goes beyond. It might touch many people, but it goes beyond me. And that is why I feel like, for me, Abby was my daughter.
Yes.
But the lives that she has impacted are beyond me.
Yes.
Yes. And I just have to honor that, whether I like it or not.
Blessed be God. I have to say, blessed be God.
Amen.
And that's just when we get out ourselves and just let God have his way and do his things. Because it's recognizing that we aren't the only ones who were impacted by it. Others were as well. And how can we make a difference in their lives? How can we show them some things? Because it's also a teachable moment. It's for both mom and daughter. Right? We never know what other life challenges may come. It might not result in in death or any other type of tragedy, but it can be in a job situation, it can be in a relationship, it can be in so many different ways. How do I handle this? How do I do this? And they've kept their commitment, and that's something that's so lacking. They said that they were going to be around, and they remained around.
Every single year. And it's not just on the same dates. We have conversations on and off.
Look at God.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you a question, right? What would you say, looking back now, what would you say to your younger self about life, about focusing on purpose and on things that you're doing? What would you say to your younger self? And then I want you to go right into what would you say to your daughter? What will you say to your younger daughter?
I think I will, something Sonny told me, this girl is a gem. I was preparing for an assignment and I was second guessing myself a million times. And she told me, stop it. You were meant for this. It didn't make sense at that particular time. But after we got off that phone call, I sat down and I was literally going through my life backwards. And I can say that God set me up for this.
You're not gonna let me cry again today, now. Just know that.
Painful as it is, and as painful as it is, it was a good setup.
Yeah.
Because out of that, I am now a very intentional mother. I wasn't. Out of that, I am a very intentional sister. I am an intentional friend. I just do not interact for the sake of interacting.
Yes.
It has to make sense.
Yeah.
And I will call it out. And I just don't follow.
Yes.
You're messing up, I'm not in your camp. I'm gonna call it out. We have to be real with one another.
Yes.
Initially, I'll be like, you know what, she's always like that, just let her be. But no.
Yeah.
So I really feel that God set me up down this path.
Yes.
The sacrifice was great.
Yes.
But God set me up. So whatever the devil meant for evil, to break me and push me away from my
Yeah.
path, God kept
Yeah.
it. God kept it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Sonny. She
Mm.
was made for this. I told her she was made for this. Indeed, you were. It's just that, I mean, if we knew how God was going to write that story, if we knew
Mm.
that He really meant all
Would have
things,
told him to this
yes,
one.
yes. Maybe don't worry, make me right now.
No,
I
sir,
don't think
not in this
not
manner.
in this
Use my
manner.
cow.
Yeah.
Use the cow. Use the animals.
Not that, but it
Yeah.
it has been my pleasure just to have this conversation with you today on
Mhm.
Women's History Month, on today the anniversary of of our dear Ebby's passing, and just to see, when we hear people say that they're smiling down on you in heaven, I don't know if that's scriptural, but I know if she is, if there's such a thing, that she would be so proud of you,
Yeah.
as I am, and as I know the rest of your family are, because your story has got to be told. And I know this is not the place to tell your story like that, but I'm amazed by how God has been using you and the platforms that He has given you, and how you have been intentional to make sure that you manage that the way how God has gifted you. You have not, I don't want to use the word, you have not, there is a word that comes from it, you have not treated it carelessly.
Mm. Oh my gosh. Say that again.
You have not treated it carelessly. And that's what I like. And then out of your humility, you see the opportunities that are coming. Because let us go back to that life truth speaker. People see that authenticity and are
Mm.
drawn to you because of that realness about you.
Yeah.
And that's why God has chosen you for the task that He has chosen you. That's why you were born in the country that you were born in, right?
Mm.
We don't know where He's going to place you in the future, but we
God willing.
know that wherever you will be,
Mm.
God has His hands on you right where. Wherever you are is where He has intended for you to be. It might be starting there, but we don't know where He's going to take you. And then
Mhm.
we'll look forward to that, because He's not limited by time and space. He's not
No.
only called us to one
Mm-mm.
location, geographic or
Mm.
otherwise.
Mm.
He's called us for impact. He's called us to use our voice for His glory
Mm.
and for His honor. And as you continue
Yeah.
to stand for Almighty God, He continues
Mm.
to stand for you. Right? He
Yeah.
already is making spaces in places for you where you didn't think that you should be, or you didn't think that you would have been. But look at
Yeah.
Almighty God, when He made you, when He created you, when He breathed life into you, when He gave you the parents that you have, when He created you to be born in that location in Kenya, when He
Yeah.
selected who your parents would be, your siblings would be, the children you would have, the spouse that you would have. He knew
Mm.
that within all of that, His glory would be
Yeah.
shining in through you for His glory and to impact
Mm.
nations. So, my sister,
Yes.
my friend, my ministry partner, I thank you today for being open and real and honest with us. The conversation, and so I know I like how God shows the individuality in every conversation that I've had with persons around purpose. There's absolutely no two story that has sounded alike
Mm.
from year one to year four. As I told you, we've never discussed voice in purpose like this, but that's where God has taken us, because maybe, just maybe, there are persons here who are struggling with seeing their voice in their purpose, keeping
Mm.
and shying back, not understanding that someone needs to hear that story that you're hiding. It
Mm.
needs to release someone.
Yeah.
Yours is
Yeah.
the voice that they are waiting on. And if you are in a space now of pain from
Mm.
whatever it is, allow yourself to grieve, as Wanjiro
Yeah.
says,
Mm-hmm.
but
But don't stay there
don't stay there. At some point, unfold your hand
and lend it.
and lend it, because
Yes.
someone needs that. And I give you the
Somebody needs
opportunity
to.
to make your closing words. I don't see, yes, the caller says, a Proverbs 31 woman, definitely positioned for purpose. And Sonny says, yeah, call it, and the whole world can confirm that you were made for this. Obviously, you are truth speaker. So now, life truth speaker, I'm leaving the final words over to you.
Thank you so very much. In the words of the Bible from the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in with the two I send it. God has placed gems inside of us.
Yes.
Some of them have to be carved out and dug deep from a place of pain, but it is still a gem.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to just pull them out and use them for kingdom purpose.
Yes.
Use them for kingdom business, because that for me is that's where I derive joy from.
Yes.
That is where I derive joy from. And that's how I live it. Let us all
Awesome.
stir. Let us all stir up our talents.
Yes.
Let us all stir up those gems that God has deposited in us. It could be a grief. It could be job loss. It
Yes.
could be a divorce. It could be a heartbreak. It could be whatever it is. It is not in vain. All of that will make sense at some point. And when it does, use it and glorify God with it. Because he says that in all things we should give thanks.
Amen. Amen and amen. And with that, I don't want to say anything else, but I want to thank our guest, Wanjiro Samuels, for joining us today. I want to thank everyone who is on the live with us today. Thank you for staying with us. I hope that something that you heard, something that Wanjiro said, impacted you, and you'll know that there's purpose in pain and that you are positioned for purpose. Have a great evening. Manjaro, time for you to go to your bed. I know it's way in the AM for you. Have an amazing night and blessings. Love you, my sister.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye-bye. Bye.